Right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Kol Haloim La Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rachach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect and scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquath that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. Going into the title, Famine will hit you unexpectedly and suddenly. All right. Famine will hit you unexpectedly and suddenly. All right. And I'm going to play this video from Instagram. All right. And grab a couple of precepts and I'll close out. Let me get to that video real quick. So, yeah, you know, as we all know, and we all, you know, us brothers in this truth, we have been bringing out over and over through the spirit, you know, famine is going to hit America at one point. All right. As a matter of fact, let me grab this precept that comes to mind. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 22. And it reads, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be empty," you see, "and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall suddenly be afraid." Okay, so, you know, we've been given that warning. We've been ringing that alarm, you know, sounding that trumpet here in the nation of Israel, here in Babylon the Great. All right. And see, it's all fun and games. All right. So these things actually happen to you in your local stores, you know, happens to you right in your own backyard. Because a lot of these people don't think that these things are going to happen because, you know, it's not happening to them locally or happening to them in their city, their town, you know, their state yet. But see, these things have been creeping up little by little, as the scriptures say. All right, that, you know, famine and great confusion has been, you know, accumulating while everybody thought themselves to be in good case, you see. So one day you're just gonna wake up and suddenly the sown places, the places that were, you know, filled with food, you know, filled with, you know, product and filled with people to shop, is gonna be unsown. They're gonna be looted. You ain't gonna have product to find or run into. You see, and these things we keep telling you through the spirit, man. Shalom, Sister Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah. Right? We keep telling you through the spirit that this is coming. You see, and we've been prepared for this, man. We know exactly how the Lord is coming. All right. Can we point out exact date of when it's going to happen? No. But scripture say measure the time diligently within itself. So we're constantly measuring the time. You know, we're constantly being watchmen, looking at these articles drop every day, watching these different videos that are dropping every day, and we're reporting to you live, man, telling you how close we are to these events. Okay, so like I said, one day you're just gonna wake up, you're not gonna be able to go to your local storehouse. It's not gonna be filled with the things that you want, the things you need. It's gonna be looted, it's gonna be trashed, it's gonna be done for, you see, because when famine hits, remember what's going on with Iran right now. They're holding back, you know, they're pretty much the ones that have caused this global, you know, global famine, this global collapse, which is really Mr. DJ Trump that put us in that situation. He knew exactly why he did it. All right. He did that because he knew that it will cause that global collapse in order for him to bring in this NWO, which, you know, he's just a puppet at the end of the day. The elites are the ones that are, you know, pulling the strings behind closed doors, and they're the ones that are causing these famines. That's why they're funding these wars, all right, because all wars are bankers' wars, all right, and they understand what will cause, all right, what will happen if they were to, you know, fund these wars, all right. So while we got our mind set on the war, we got our mind set on things that you know, other things other than the actual things that are important, the necessities of life, right? This is what's happening behind closed doors. You're being starved out without you even realizing, man. Okay. And like I said, one of these days you will wake up and you're not going to have access to these stores no more. You're not going to have access to the products that you're able to have access to right now. You see, when all hell breaks loose, chaos pops off, these stores are going to be looted. You're not going to be able. And what you think? These people going to go and buy some more product after they just been looted? No, absolutely not. See, so it's just going to die off. All right. Everything that you were able to get your hands to that was right there in front of your fingertips is no longer going to be. Right. So let me grab this video real quick. All right. Where is it at? 1 second. Right here.
Attention and listen, because ex-military strategist from the United States sends a warning to all American people. Look, first of all, if you need medication of any kind, you better go out and buy all the medicines you can get.
And see, that right there is already heavy, because not only is there warfare on our food, all right, there's also medical warfare being done to our medicines, to all the things that keep us, that help us. I ain't gonna say that cure you, because none of these things cure you. All healing come of YAHAWAH'S, right? But medicines were created to, to ease pain, to help you get through a headache, help you get through a fever, you see? So we also have warfare, all right, on, our medical, all right? Not only on just food. With famine, our food is being poisoned left to right, man. There's a bunch of videos I got with candy being poisoned, the foods like watermelons, fruits and vegetables that we eat, people dying off of eating a damn watermelon. I just read something where a whole family of 4 died from eating watermelon, man. Why? Because they're poisoning these things. Remember, they're one of their main agenda right now. Agendas are depopulation, man. So they got to find different ways to depopulate our people. Okay. And we know that most of our people are going to be depopulated by, the sword, the famine, and World War III. Okay. But in the process of that, they have little tactics and little, small tactics to be able to off you damn people, man. And this is one of them. All right. Through poisoning your foods, we shall eat the foul bread amongst the Gentiles. Okay. I did a video not so long ago on war, drug warfare. You see, they bringing out drugs more and more, heavier and heavier. And you got at least 70% of our people in America strung off of some type of drug, man. Putting shit in regular cannabis, marijuana, fentanyl, all in that shit. You see? Putting fentanyl inside Hennessy bottles, drinks. So all these things are just ways to depopulate you, man. All right. So, best believe they're doing it with the food also. This is why you got to pray on your food, man. This is why you got to have a certain diet. All right. And not eat the portion of the king's meat, because the portion of the king's meat here in America, all right, it poisons you, man. It kills you. Cancer additives put into it. I ain't gonna front. I gotta eat better too myself, because I got a sweet tooth. Like, oh my gosh, I don't eat too much candy, but I love my little cakes, my snacks. I'm like a little kid with that shit. And I know that shit is bad for you, and then my ass will still find a way to be eating these little snacks. But we have to be careful with what we eat. Diabetes out there. You got all different types of sicknesses and ailments that are brought upon us just by the foods that we eat, So, we definitely have to, abide by the dietary laws, which, I abide by the dietary laws, but just in the mix of that shit, I like to eat my little snacks. Every time I eat something real good and healthy, my dumb ass will go I got to have my little snack in between, but those things are, made to give you cancers, man. So we have to be careful with what we're putting into our bodies. All right. I do it in moderation to the best of my ability. I ain't sitting there just eating fucking snacks all day. That shit crazy. Right. But let's listen to what the rest of it, right?
Because the petroleum industry has a big role to play in the production of pharmaceuticals. So that's my first piece of advice. And secondly,
and see, because of the petroleum, the oil that's being, you know, basically controlled out there, yeah, that goes to a lot of the things that we need here in America, man. You know, you need oil to be able to cook foods, right? You need, like he just said, your pharmaceuticals have to do with, you know, the oil that's being, the oil that's being held up out there, plastics, and the way they, you know, they package things up and they send it to you and they keep it preserved. They need the oil to make those products and things like that. So oil is just a very big asset when it comes to our daily lives, man. Okay, along with gas and all of that, man. So, you know, this is why you're gonna have things hit you out of left field without you realizing, man, unexpectedly, all suddenly, and ultimately because you don't have the knowledge of YAHAWAH'S. See, because if you knew YAHAWAH'S, understood his will, then you will understand that he's coming with that destruction upon our people. You see, but our people are ignoring the word. You know, they're giving the cold shoulder. So when that time comes, they're gonna be caught off guard, man. All right.
Because as this work does, the petroleum industry has a big role to play in the production of pharmaceuticals. So that's my first piece of advice. And secondly, start thinking in terms of storing food and any other items that you think you may need, because as this war continues, and it's going to continue, the impact that I talked about earlier is going to be felt here at it. But in the meantime, I think,
and at the end of the day, we're stocking up more than anything on faith. We're stocking up on spiritual riches. You know, we're not going to be no doomsday preppers. Now, is this smart? Now, scriptures say, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So you got to be wise. You know what I'm saying? You're not just going to have nothing in your house. You know, now's the time for you to stack up on, you know, certain canned goods. Definitely stack up on water more than anything. You know, in my house, there's plenty, you know, decent amount of water that I keep. You know, every $10, you know, I get here and there, you know what I'm saying, I'll stack up three packages for $10, only when they're on sale like that, you know. So, you know, have a decent amount of water, more than anything in your households, to be able to, you know, not worry about hitting the store when, you know, famine hits, when, you know, they start closing down these shops because of looting and things like that. You don't have to worry about going in the mix of 1,000 people in the store waiting in lines, okay? But at the end of the day, we're going to store up more than anything on faith and drawing closer to YAHAWAH'S, because the Lord said, you know, my servant shall eat and they shall be hungry. My servant shall drink and they shall be thirsty. So the Lord going to preserve us, man. The Lord's going to, you know, make sure we eat, okay, in the time we need it the most. Might have to stop for a couple of days, you know. You know, the Lord likes to see us beg. The Lord likes to see where our faith is at. So we're going to be put to the test at the end of the day. All right. But it doesn't mean to give up hope and think that you're not going to be fed, man. The Lord definitely going to feed us, man. As a matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. This is give me 1 second. This is Matthew. This is Matthew, where is it at? Make sure I'm not. Give me 1 second. Maybe the 6th chapter. This is, this is Matthew 6:25. It says, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? You see? So the Lord feeds the birds, right? He makes sure that they eat, all the animals eat, basically, right? And we're more important than these animals. Not saying that the animals are not important, all right, but we're above the animals, man. You see? So if the Lord is making sure that the animals are gonna eat, man, he gonna make sure that his elect is gonna eat, because the Lord has care for his elect, as the scriptures say. You see? So let's go back.
Pay attention and listen, because ex-military think you may need, because as this war continues, and it's going to continue, the impact that I talked about earlier is going to be felt here and added. But in the meantime, I think you just need to prepare for the worst here. And once the stock market figures out, or the investors, the people in New York that run the financial system, who are largely part of the problem for us, they're going to say, oh my God, and you're going to watch the stock market tank, and you're going to watch the cost of a barrel of oil go up to 200 and potentially all the way to 3. And all of that is going to bring everything inside the United States to a screeching halt. Pay attention and listen,
and that's absolutely right. All right, because it's going to be a collapse. The stock market is going to collapse. The dollar is going to collapse. The whole entire American infrastructure is going to collapse to bring in this new one. And when it does, like you said, hey, barrels of oil is going up to $200 to $300. You know, and it may very well happen in the next couple months. You know, it's funny because I was talking to the guy at the damn gas station, all right, telling him, watch, by the summertime, you're going to see $6.50, $6 of straight gas. And we're close enough to it. OK, when you go to, matter of fact, it's already there, because regular's at $4.50, $4.75, $4.80. But when you go to Plus, when you go to Supreme, that shit's already at $5.50, $6. When you go into diesel is already at like $6.50, man. All right, so those prices are already here, and they're gonna continue to increase. They're just like, he's like, oh no, it's just happening because it's the summertime. No, it ain't happening because it's the summertime. It's happening because it's gonna continue to go up through war. All right, and we're not even fully in effect with war yet. It's just like an up and down with war right now. You know, they want to talk about peace treaties and then they don't. And they talk about peace treaties and they don't. One strikes for a little bit, the next strikes for a little bit, you know. And the reason it's happened like that is because YAHAWAH'S, that's the mercy that the Lord has, telling you to repent. Those are the signs that he's giving you, man. Telling you that this place is over with. This place is done for. You see? And people still don't get it. Right? Let's grab this. This is 2nd Ezra 16 and 17, and it reads, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Yeah, so famine is on the list, man. Famine and great death. You see? So you realize how it says the beginning of famine and great death. Famine and great death is right next to each other, because that's what's going to happen. Great death is going to be brought upon this place with the famine that it comes with. You see? And wars and famine go together, man. And we're in the midst, okay, of World War III. It's no longer, oh, it's going to happen, it might come. No, we're in the midst of World War III. You see? So if we're in the midst and we are in World War III, all right, that can only mean that famine is coming right around the corner with it. All right, it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of their scourges. Victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they think themselves to be in good case. Yeah, and things were cheap at one point, you know, thinking that you were in good case, thinking that things were going to go back to normal. But meanwhile, while you were able to pay those low prices, all right, evils was growing upon the earth, sword, hunger, all right, sword, famine, and great confusion, until it unexpectedly hits you, suddenly hits you when you least expect it. That's why everybody that leaned on Egypt was going to be in great shame and in great confusion, because you believed that this that this damn devil was going to make your nation great and safe again, man. But there was no room for this place to be saved, man. The Lord would have healed Babylon, right? But Babylon is not healed because the wickedness that it continues to push out. All right. So it was only downhill for this place at one point. You see, it says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. You see, many, that's that great death. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. You see, the sword's going to get you if the famine don't. Right. This is Lamentations 4:9. And it reads, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. Yeah. So we're going to go back to resorting, as it tells you in Baruch 2 and 3. They're going to go back to resorting to cannibalism. You know, women eating their children, women eating their pets, men also going to be eating their children and eating their pets to the point where they eat themselves, man. They're not going to be able to find anything. So you're going to see people chomping on themselves, as it tells you in Isaiah 9 and 20 and 19. It says, through the wrath of the Lord. See, and it's going to happen because it's the wrath of the Lord. So the Lord puts the spirit on people to do these things. Of the hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire, and no man shall spare his brother. Yeah. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, right? Because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. Okay. It says, and he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. You see? And we were doing that in the ancient times, man. In the time of Samaria and the famine of Samaria, you know, the northern kingdom was going through that. And everything that you read about in these scriptures, right? Everything written aforetime is written for your learning, because these things are going to happen again, right? The thing that was is the thing that shall be. And there's no new thing under the sun, roughly paraphrasing it. So you're going to see that same effect, all right, happen today. And that's cause and effect from these governments, man. They cause these things because they know the effect of it. They cause us to continue to sin because they know the Lord's effect when we constantly sin. Every time we were wicked as hell and we started to sin and do wicked ass things and go way off, that's what the Lord will bring upon our people. He will bring famine upon our people. He will bring the sword upon our people. We will end up into the hands of our enemies. So we're already in the hands of our enemies, but now we're going to end up in another captivity. All right. This is the last captivity. But what I mean is we're going to end up into the hands of our enemies again. And they're going to besiege us. They're going to lock us down. They're going to bring us into FEMA camps, you know, because this is the last captivity. All right. The final captivity, the worst captivity of all. All right. But we're going to end up into their hands again to be slaughtered, basically, is what I mean. You see? And you either going to be slaughtered by the sword, by your enemies, or you're going to die off by the famine. All right. So let's grab this and I'll pretty much close it out. This is Salakia, Second Ezra's 15 and 18. And it reads, because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because the lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see? So they're going to be running in your homes, being madmen, sparing none. These FEMA, these martial law troops, and even these damn 2/3 is going to be running around out here, and these other nations that are running loose, they're going to be running up in your homes, man. They're going to spoil your goods. They're going to take everything you got, everything you preserved, you see? And they're doing it for what? For the lack of bread and great tribulation, okay? Because it's the Lord's will. It's the Lord's wrath upon our people, you see? See, we gave you the warning after warning after warning. All right. But after so many warnings, all right, as the scriptures say, after 2 or 3 admonitions, reject them. Right? That's what we're supposed to do with these damn people. Well, the Lord gives you 2, 3, 4 admonitions, man, and then he rejects you. And because thou has rejected knowledge, now the Lord's going to reject thee, you see? So you're going to have to go, you're going to have to eat the fruit of your own devices, man. You're going to be left, you know, to die on your own out here. You're going to have to go and cry unto the gods which you have chosen and let them deliver you in the time of tribulation, man. And you're not going to make it out here, man. The Lord going to make sure that you starve, man. And that's a horrible way to go. To be eaten from the inside out, you know, to be thirsting, and the Lord makes sure you don't got nothing to drink, you're going to start going into hallucination mode, man. That's why a lot of these people are going to resort to cannibalism. On top of them just already eating all the nasty ass portion of the king's meat here in America that's got DNA, human DNA in it. It's all 3D printed. You see, that's what's going to make you go even crazier into starvation and even quicker because you're so adapted to the foods of Babylon the Great that make you want to eat more and more. The Lord gave us dietary laws to keep us away from that type of mentality, you know, not to be, you know, it's not saying you can't eat food. All right. But you become like this glutton for no damn reason, you know, just fucking eating 6 times a day for what? Your body only needs one, you know, one good meal a day. The rest is, you know, fruits and vegetables, man. Smoothies and chai seeds, man. That's all you need. You make a smoothie of 2 bananas, some milk in it, some honey, and chai seeds. You do that shit twice a day, yo. You don't even have to eat at all the whole entire day because that shit fills up. It expands in your body, you know. That's the type of, you know, foods that we're supposed to be eating, you see? But our people are just caught up with eating, you know, 5, 6 times a day, man. Greedy as hell. Don't need to be that damn greedy. All right? And because they have you in that mentality, that's why these people psychologically, they're going to be messed up in the head when they're not able to have food. They're not even going to be able to survive the first fucking 10 hours. Half the day. People start complaining and crying. The Lord has put us in fasting, you know, for a reason, to be used to, you know, one, to get us closer and draw us closer to him, but also to keep us, you know, keep our bodies, you know, ready not to eat food, you see? Because when we don't have any food, that's just going to be a day of fasting for us, man. But, hey, this is about to hit America real soon, real quick, unexpectedly and suddenly, you see? So make sure that you stay prayed up. Make sure you get this word, seek the Lord while he may be found. All right. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord and put off not day to day, for sudden destruction cometh upon you. And don't let yourself be taken by the famine, man. That's a horrific way to die. All right. So I'm gonna leave it there through the spirit, Lord willing, that you were edified. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, call Elohim La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. You sisters continue to learn in silence. Watching the true men of the Lord. And stay prayed up. All right. And hey, there's no need to worry about none of this. The Lord got our back. The Lord has care for his elect. The Lord will always be there to protect us. And so will the angels. So I'm going to leave it there through the spirit. Shalom. Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah.